It's Project Cargo Professionals. We're at Transport Logistic in Singapore, and I am with Jason Bird, Air Charter Service. Jason, good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you too. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Give us an overview for people who don't know. Tell us a bit about Air Charter Service. Super interesting. I know it was founded by your founders in your founders' basement.
Yeah.
Give us a bit of the backstory.
Yeah, so the company has been around for almost 35 years now. Just recently, we opened our 40th office globally. So we focus entirely on charter flights. So passenger flights, private jets, commercial planes, and then cargo charters is the area that I specialize in. Under that umbrella, we also do some time critical services, hand carries, next flight out, and some other kind of air freight services. But for the most part, yeah, we're purely a charter broker.
So for the heavy lift and project cargo sector, you guys are the disaster solvers.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, dealing with freight forwarders for the most part, oil and gas equipment, maritime equipment, the odd aerospace engine, that kind of thing. So
Okay. And I know there's been a bit of a regional shift going on here from Hong Kong. Tell us a bit about that and how that's affected your business here in Singapore.
sure, yeah. I think a lot of companies, generally speaking, not just in logistics, are shifting their headquarters to Singapore. It's a little more neutral per se than Hong Kong is these days. We find we find it a little bit more in our passenger division, a lot more like financial institutions, consultants moving here. But on the logistics side, same kind of thing. A lot of people kind of are preferring to live in Singapore over Hong Kong. So it definitely helps with just more face-to-face meetings, more opportunities than we might have had if they were living overseas.
Okay. And I saw you guys are having a good year, and that was boosted partly by the situation with Thailand and Cambodia and their border closures.
Yeah.
Explain that for people that don't know and tell us what the situation is there now.
Yeah, sure. So there was obviously a conflict between the two governments over land, and what that meant was they closed the land border, and there was quite a bit of trade that happens between the two countries. We ended up doing charters, daily charters from Phnom Penh to Bangkok, round trip. So it was raw materials going one way and the finished product going the other way, mainly auto part related. But yeah, that lasted for the better part of 6 weeks, just supporting the supply chains as they tried to adapt to the road closure. Now the borders are still somewhat closed; they're not fully open, but I think supply chains in general have just kind of picked up on the new norm, adjusted their forecasting a little bit. We hear that a lot of the cargo now is being sent by sea freight, so that's like a 3-day transit compared to the 1 day of the charter. And then there's also some commercial capacity as well. I know Emirates fly their A380 from Bangkok to Siem Reap, so that's kind of picked up a lot of the cargo that was flying on our charters. So yeah, I think just overall adjustment now that a little bit of time's passed.
Right. And here in Singapore, Changi Airport's heavily investing in its facilities for cargo handling. How often do you find yourself using Changi, and will that investment enable you to offer any additional services?
I don't know about additional services. I think like just generally the infrastructure here and the support is phenomenal. We had a project shipment last year where the cargo was actually bound for Indonesia, but the customer elected to come through Singapore just because of the strong supporting agents and equipment that's available here compared to an alternate airport per se. So we benefit a lot from that, and being in Singapore and having the local relationships with some of these supporting agents is really, really crucial for us.
And I was asking you earlier about the oversight legislation that Singapore is introducing or proposing to introduce, and that will apply to companies and transport providers that are deemed to be of critical importance to Singapore.
Yeah.
Can you explain a bit about that? I know that Changi Airport is one of those that will be affected by that legislation.
Yeah, Changi Airport, Singapore Airlines, I think is another one. For us, it's a bit of a two-sided thing because for charters, our demand grows when there's chaos and uncertainty created in the economy or the market per se. So in that regard, it might not be a good thing. But on the other side of things, it's always great having working in a place like Singapore where the foundation of logistics and Changi as an example are so rock solid. And if we were to face another pandemic or like situation, just knowing the stability that they would have from the backing of the government is great. So yeah, I think it's a positive thing for us more than anything.
And that leads nicely, talking about chaos, for me to ask you about the tariffs and the trade tensions with China.
Yeah.
What's your assessment on whether that was good or bad for your market?
It was definitely, and it still is, definitely really good for us. Like I said earlier, the chaos and uncertainty drives charter demand most of the time. So for us, we saw at the beginning of the year a lot of freight forwarders or logistics companies front loading their shipments to the U.S. So that was a big peak in charter demand for us. And then, as you know, the U.S. government changed the tariff deadline. They moved it back 90 days, I think, to August 1st, I think it was. That again just created more demand for us because companies were trying to get their product to the U.S. before that deadline. So we had two runs of it. I would say it's good for our business. It's probably not good for the general public, just again because of the additional tariff costs and higher costs to everyday items. But for our business, it's welcomed.
And in terms of tariffs, there's no benefit of sending a shipment by air, is it? The same rules apply. There's no air benefit as such.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, no benefit, just quicker transit time, obviously, compared to sending it by sea freight. But to my knowledge, they pay the same tariff they would no matter the type of transportation the commodity comes in.
The main difference is if they use somebody like you, they can get their stuff moved quickly.
Correct. Yeah, it's just the reliability versus sending on a commercial option where you might have one or two transit hubs. Again, depending on yield and demand, that same product could take 3 to 5 days, whereas on a charter, you're pretty guaranteed to get the 24-hour transit.
Okay. And looking ahead a bit, how concerned are you about the future of heavy lift air operations? Obviously, there aren't that many Antonovs around. There's few new aircraft coming on. Yeah. How concerned are you about that in terms of capacity?
I think for us, obviously, it's going to be a sad day when Antonovs aren't available to the general public or for commercial use. They're always fun shipments to handle, but when you look at before 1990, right, the Antonov didn't exist, and the world still seemed to move along. I think there are, the C-17 is an aircraft that has similar capability. It's primarily used for military use by air forces around the world. So it'll be interesting to see if any airlines take on that aircraft for commercial use. But I think your guess is as good as mine if they will. But yeah, in terms of replacing that aircraft, that looks to be the only kind of suitable option. But again, most of the time, the commodities that are flying on an Antonov typically are from poor planning or in an emergency situation where there's severe penalties for late delivery. And so I think hopefully it just kind of, suppliers will start planning a little bit better than they have, potentially changing their forecasting from, maybe one month to 3 months as an example. Yeah.
And lastly, just in terms of advice to a project forwarder or whoever, it's not always easy to secure that air shipment, that charter.
Yeah.
What's your advice, the best way to do that?
Yeah, I'd love to say, call air charter service, but, there are lots of benefits to using a broker. I think not a lot of people realize, some of the additional support that we offer, not just at destination, but, again, going back to previous shipments that we've arranged, we get involved with trucking. Sometimes that involves special road permits, police escorts, ground handling, whether it's an external crane or specialized other ground handling equipment. That's something that we kind of
You get involved in that too?
We get involved with the whole shipment. Yeah.
Ah, that's something I didn't know.
Yeah. So sometimes it's door to door, and we handle everything. Other times.
So you would engage with the heavy haulier or whatever it was?
Yeah. Yeah, we have. Yeah, in the past.
And is that internationally or just something that you guys here do?
Internationally.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. This shipment was from Europe to Asia, and we handled the door-to-door shipment for both.
Okay.
So
interesting. Yeah. Well, thanks for stopping by. Really good to talk.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Yeah.